On the news, shortage of testing kits threatens Nigeria's COVID-19 fight. AFG reveals plans to evacuate more Nigerians abroad as it expects 265 returnees from Dubai. And UK becomes second worst affected globally by the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. There's a shortage of testing kits in major Nigerian states affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In Lagos, the state government has announced that it's experiencing difficulties in procuring new reagents for COVID-19 tests, as most sellers now hoard the material. The State Commissioner for Information, Benga Omotosho, who confirmed the development, says the government is, however, making efforts to procure more testing kits directly from the manufacturers. Omotosho said, quote, Lagos is battling with shortage of reagents, but we will keep on collecting samples, end of quote. And it's not just Lagos that's facing this challenge. The FCT administration says it's also facing a shortage of test kits for COVID-19. The Special Assistant Media to the FCT Minister, Abubakar Sani, who confirmed the development, said the short supply of kits is a global problem. As at May 5th, 2020, Nigeria had tested 19,512 COVID-19 samples, of which 2,950 have tested positive. President Muhammadu Buhari has issued new directives on COVID-19 donations to Nigeria by philanthropists, companies and international donors. Director Information and Press Office of the Accountants General of the Federation, Henshaw Ogubike, made this known in a statement in Abuja on Tuesday. In the statement, the president was said to have approved the opening of 5 COVID-19 donor accounts, which form part of the existing Treasury single account arrangement in 5 commercial banks. The approved banks include Zenith Bank, Access Bank, Guaranty Trust Bank, UBA and First Bank. He explains that the framework covered all public funds allocated and dedicated to the fight against COVID-19, including the fiscal stimulus package, as well as all donations by corporate bodies and individuals to the federal government towards the fight against COVID-19 and the mitigation of its social and economic effects on citizens. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund says it has disbursed the $3.4 billion emergency financial assistance granted to Nigeria. The fund, approved under the Rapid Financing Instrument by the Executive Board of the IMF on April 28th, will be used to address challenges arising from the economic impact from the COVID-19 pandemic. IMF Managing Director, in an interview on Tuesday, said the $3.4 billion has been credited to the account of the Central Bank of Nigeria. He stressed the need for transparency and accountability in the management of the funds. The federal government had assured that it will publicize all disbursements from the fund, and there are plans to conduct an independent audit of all emergency expenditure at the end of the pandemic. The government also agreed to allow the IMF conduct due diligence exercise on the CBN in line with the fund's Safeguards Assessment Program. Some Nigerians have been flouting the guidelines issued by the federal government to prevent further spread of COVID-19 pandemic, and that's in banks and other places. Since the month-long lockdown was eased in Lagos, Abuja and Ogun State, banks and markets have been crowded, with very few observing physical distancing. In this next report, our correspondent Adeshawa Odushaga paid a visit to some of these places and files in this report.
These crowds you see gathered here are not protesters. There are bank customers waiting in turns to perform various transactions. Clearly violating the social distancing order, these bank customers say their needs can only be resolved in the banking hall. With very few branches open and this crowd to contend with, the customers are subjected to a roll call to gain access.
They minus 5,000 in my account. And I want to know why they remove 5,000 in my account. And secondly, again, they don't have much people to attend, or their customers, as in their service there is very poor. Because why they will say only one branch to work? They have 4 or 5 branches in the Alimosho local government as a whole.
Within this area, this is not my branch. I'm coming from Shasha. So within this area, we had that this only branch operating. So from my private investigation, I discovered that a lot of people have been trekking all the way from Aboru, Yanapaja, and from different places. Even their own personal staff came from Ogba, Ikeja, to come and do personal transactions here. So it's unfortunate.
I came very early this morning, and I was given a number, 354. And up till now, I'm still outside. What is the issue? They are not telling us. Please, I want to ask, is it a problem to open an account again? If I should work and save money, why can't I have access to my money?
I've been here since yesterday morning. Yes, I brought my mat. As you can see, my mat is there. So I slept here. Instead of them to tell us that they don't have the money that we have deposited, you understand, they are giving us scam. They say we should queue, or even if you are queuing, you understand, we should withdraw maybe like 150.
150. 200.
Is it possible for this coronavirus?
From the bank, we paid a visit to a popular ultra-modern market at the center of Lagos. There, the 1 meter social distancing order is also clearly violated. At the opening of the business activities, buyers and sellers decry a spike in food prices owing to a drop in food supplies.
It's very, very ridiculous. Imagine this fish, normally I think it's 400, but now it's 500. I had to write list. Now, write according to your budget. You write list, I have to write, normally I don't write lists before, but now I have to write list to know I wouldn't spend more.
Things are very expensive, very, very expensive. Like this crayfish, normally we buy 8,000 naira. We are buying 13,000 naira. So the rate of things is very, very expensive. So normally this fish now you are seeing here, we sell 300, but we are selling one per 500.
The price of commodity has gone up to some certain percentage. We expected that the goods supposed to have come down, but what we are seeing is that the high rate of the cost of the goods is very, very high.
People are not obeying the social distance, and then the allogers are warning them. It's like the customers are not cooperating. You can see what transfer now. Our people need one of enlightenment so that they can keep social distance. As of now, they are not keeping social distance.
Since the lockdown eased, there have been a commendable compliance of wearing the face masks and social distancing, particularly from the transportation workers in the state. But there are fears that with the dramas being played out in the marketplaces, bus stops and banks, Lagos may see a surge in the cases of coronavirus in the coming weeks. Adeshawa Odushoga, TV360, Nigeria.
Katsina State Governor Aminu Masari has ordered the lockdown of Malumfashi local government area of the state. Secretary to the state government, Mustafa Inuwa, who made the announcement, explained that the lockdown became necessary as some residents of the local government have tested positive. He said the lockdown takes effect from 7 a.m. on Thursday, May 7th, 2020. Governor Masari has also ordered the shutting down of the Baban Mutum weekly market in Bari local government with effect from this week. Katsina has so far confirmed 92 COVID-19 cases. The federal government has evacuated no fewer than 265 Nigerians from Dubai amid the COVID-19 pandemic. In a statement on Tuesday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the persons were evacuated via Emirates Airlines and will arrive at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport later today. The statement revealed that over 4,000 Nigerians across the world have indicated interest to be evacuated due to the pandemic. The ministry also revealed that discussions are ongoing with British Airways to evacuate 300 Nigerians from London on Friday, while more arrangements have been made with Ethiopia Airlines to evacuate Nigerians from New York to Abuja next week Monday. The ministry added that the Dubai evacuations is being carried out in accordance with the guidelines of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, and that the evacuees will be required to undergo a mandatory 14-day supervised quarantine. Enterprising Nigerians are taking advantage of a gap in supply of surgical masks to meet the demand of millions of Nigerians by producing cloth face masks. For fashion designers and retailers, it's a new opportunity to make earnings while helping to keep Nigerians safe from the novel coronavirus. This next report has more. Lois Osoha specializes in making clothes for men. But for the past few weeks, she's been busy designing face masks instead. When she finishes a piece, she distributes them to her neighbors and clients for free, for them to stay safe as Nigeria battles the novel coronavirus.
I looked around and saw some people that really need it, and these people don't have money to buy because the ones they sell at the malls are now very expensive. So it just occurred to me that you can actually do something for people. You can make an impact in people's lives by giving them free face masks.
Other creatives share Lois's passion, like 15-year-old Amanesi. Before COVID-19, Amanesi was printing on shirts, but since the government mandated Nigerians to use a face mask in public, he switched to making that instead. His aim is for Nigerians to stay not just protected, but also fashionable.
Now everybody's buying face masks, and you still have to have swag with the face mask. So I thought of getting plain face masks, then print the designs that you want on the face mask, so you can still look good on the face mask.
We got our inspiration mostly from comics, from movies, like the movie like Joker, The Smile and everything. So that's what gives us the creativity to do something for us. So we tried it out and say that people like it and we're coming out with it.
While Lois and Amanesi make face masks for charity, other entrepreneurs are cashing in from the sale of face masks big time. 29-year-old Idowu currently retails face masks online for 6 designers. She has sold over 2,000 face masks in the past week and says she can hardly keep up with the demand.
Now we are having so much orders that we cannot deliver. So I was even talking to some people that, I have to maybe go out to meet some other people that can do this. I also reached out to some people on Instagram that, look, if I have orders, can I give it to you? And they too, they have not yet delivered. So the orders are much, but we can't fill them up.
Face mask production has indeed become a money spinner for many youth in the country. But even retailers express concern over mass production and lack of quality control.
Some of the designers, they don't meet the quality of the mask they should produce. I had to fight with some of them that, look, in good conscience, I turned down a designer yesterday. I was like, I can't sell your mask. Why is that? It doesn't really meet what people should use to protect themselves. It's okay we want to make money, but we should also make sure that people that are wearing it, they're actually protected. Or to an extent, they are protected. And this is not just fashion, it's for a reason. Because right now, I'm not really making that much money. So if I'm doing this, I'm doing it to make a difference. And if I'm not making the difference, what's the need?
Some researchers and health experts are with her on this. A newly published report by the National Center for Biotechnology Information casts doubts on the efficacy of cloth face masks, as Dr. Ogo Enebeli explains.
Some studies really make it clear to us that these cloth masks, the penetration of particles through a cloth mask is almost 97% of particles passing through either ways. And so, when you look at it, you would see that the effectiveness, like the authors, is like, except you're using it as a last resort. However, some other authors clearly and distinctively tell us that they are not effective against COVID-19.
The public health physician, however, outlines precautions for using face masks, whether made of cloth or other fabric.
It's important for us to note that masks alone will never protect anyone from COVID-19, and that it will always be very essential to combine wearing of masks with other protective measures. Wash hands with soap and water, or use a hand sanitizer before touching the mask at all to put it on. Identify where it should be inside, make sure it's covering the nose, mouth, and the chin. A lot of people just hang it after the nose and mouth. It just ends there. It's actually supposed to go under the chin. And then make sure also that when you're wearing it, you're not touching it about, and when you're removing it, you remove it from the hook. You don't go touching the mask, so that you don't also mistakenly infect yourself.
Even though the government has made it mandatory for Nigerians to wear face masks in public, many Nigerians are defying this order, putting themselves at risk of contracting the coronavirus that has infected almost 3,000 people in Nigeria. Anita Felix, TV360, Nigeria. Britain's death toll from the coronavirus has topped 32,000, pushing the country past Italy to become the second most impacted after the US. The updated statistics released on Tuesday from Britain's National Statistics Office added more than 7,000 deaths in England and Wales, raising the total for the United Kingdom to 32,313. Britain, in its seventh week of an economically crippling lockdown, is trying to implement a new contact tracing strategy so it can ease the stringent social distancing measures. Elsewhere, students in about 121 schools in Wuhan, China, have returned back to school after more than 3 months away. This is as confirmed cases in China continues to drop. Close to 4 million COVID-19 cases have been confirmed across the world, with the US accounting for almost 1/3 of them. Players at Barcelona and Real Madrid started to undergo coronavirus tests on Wednesday as La Liga clubs plans to return to restricted training ahead of the proposed resumption of the season next month. Barca captain Lionel Messi and France international Anthony Griezmann were among players pictured arriving one by one in their cars at the club's training center early Wednesday morning. Players at Madrid include Eden Hazard and Karim Benzema also underwent health checks at Real's training base on the outskirts of the city. Results from the coronavirus test are typically known within 48 hours, and the testing is part of the league's strict medical protocol with which teams must comply before a return to training. Meanwhile, President of the Turkish Football Federation, Nihat Ozdemir, has announced that the Turkish Super League will resume play on June 12th, with all football activities in the country having been suspended on March 18 due to the coronavirus pandemic. We'll take a break here and we'll be with you shortly. Do stay with us.
James, I don't know. You know the answer your call. This. Hello.
Is this Mr. Peter? I'm calling from the NDDC. Your friend, Mr. James Sukricha, was brought in this morning and tested positive for the coronavirus. He mentioned that he had been in close contact with you.
God forbid bad thing.
Sir, I am not saying that you have the virus, but you have spent some time with him over the past 14 days, and it is better if you self-isolate immediately.
I don't know any James at all. Even only James in the Bible that I know as a good Christian.
Sir, he showed us pictures.
Now, wow.
If you have come in contact with someone who has tested positive for the coronavirus, self-isolating is key to protecting those around you. Remember, viruses don't move, people do. Stopping the spread is in your hands.
This message is from the Akinfade Foundation in partnership with the National Orientation Agency with support from MacArthur Foundation.
The House of Representatives is headed for the court over an allegation that the House collected the sum of $10 million from Bill Gates to pass the contentious Infectious Disease Control Bill. The report is attributed to the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP. Members of the House of Representatives has, however, dismissed the report as false, insisting that no member of the House received any such payment to pass the Infectious Disease Control Bill. Tunji Oye now reports.
God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Since it was presented on Tuesday, April 28, the Control of Infectious Diseases Bill has generated so many reactions from Nigerians. While some say the bill, which scaled through first and second reading in less than a week, is a violation of human rights, others have alleged that lawmakers took a $10 million bribe to pass it. Well, these reports formed part of discussions at the House of Representatives on Tuesday, with leader Femi Gbajabiamila announcing that the bill will now be put to public hearing.
The Control of the Infectious Disease Bill will be put forward to a public hearing, where stakeholders' contributions will be sought to make improvements to the bill before it is reviewed and debated by the Committee of the Whole. It is from the accumulation of these myriad views, suggestions, and good faith critics from within and outside the House that we will arrive at final legislation that meets the present and future needs of our country and which we all can support in good conscience.
Contributing to the matter, lawmakers deny receiving any bribe from the Bill Gates Foundation to support the bill.
On behalf of my colleagues in the opposition, and also the members, I've taken time since yesterday to call them, those I could get on phone, to confirm if they got anything. And they are all here, and they can affirm to the fact that they did not get a dime from anybody. They also alleged that the day Bill Gates Foundation came to Nigeria, came to House of Reps, that all of us were in attendance, and that was where the thing kick-started. Mr. Speaker, I also want to submit that at no point did such a thing happen.
Technology has made it possible that we can identify those who are the purveyors of this false news. And I think we should not let it go. We must set example. Even if it takes 10 years in court, once we enter that court matter or the court process, every other person will know that we are listening and we are taking it serious.
They thereafter agreed to prosecute perpetrators of the rumors.
Those who are in favor that this House, that we take up this matter to the possible level of litigation, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it.
Though the Green Chamber have severally denied reports that the bill was modeled after that of Singapore, these lawmakers says the bill should be further reviewed to align with current realities in Nigeria.
In times of war, you must prepare for peace. And in times of peace, there will be war. What we should do is to sit down together, craft a law that will be all-encompassing, and a law that we will not have to amend for a very long time.
The Infectious Diseases Bill, if passed into law, will repeal the Colonial Quarantine Act, which many have described as outdated, and make compulsory vaccination for all infectious diseases in the country.
Lawmakers in the upper legislative chambers have been debating a motion on alleged financial recklessness of the Niger Delta Development Commission's Interim Management Committee. The NDDC is currently run by a management committee set up by President Muhammadu Buhari after the appointment of the board members were suspended. Lawmakers criticized the NDDC for allegedly spending the sum of 40 billion naira in 3 weeks and called for an investigation. Senate President Ahmed Lawan has now referred the matter to a 7-member ad hoc committee to probe the financial recklessness of the NDDC and present their findings in a month's time.
The Senate believes that while the President's action of setting up an IMC and a forensic audit may have been conceived to forestall the financial recklessness of the Commission and reposition it for fast-tracking for the development of the region, the IMC has been more bedeviled with the same financial misuse, misappropriation, misapplication, or outright fraud in the management of the funds of the Commission.
Let us mandate the appropriate committee, which is the Niger Delta Committee, to comprehensively investigate all of these allegations and report back to the Senate. So, Mr. President, I strongly support that the Niger Delta Committee should engage in a comprehensive investigation of the Interim Management Committee as to ascertain whether these allegations are true or not.
NDDC should be doing major projects for their people, putting up link roads to all the communities, coming up with cleanup, remediation, restoration of their land so that farmers can go to land, building industries, building bridges. That should be the core mandate of this agency.
The Minister for Niger Delta described NDDC as cesspool of corruption. Mr. President, it is the duty of the Senate to not only investigate, but to restore the confidence of Nigerians on any arm of government.
The Senate resolves to mandate its committee on Niger Delta affairs to carry out an holistic investigation on all issues relating to, but not limited to, the alleged misapplication and misappropriation of the sum of 40 billion naira by the Commission as well as all procurements and financial transactions of the Commission in this fiscal year 2020.
Troops of the Nigerian military have killed 343 Boko Haram terrorists, including top leaders of Boko Haram and ISWAP, during air offenses on their hideouts in the northeast. Coordinator, Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, said this while presenting a first quarter scorecard of military operations on insurgency, banditry and illegal refining across the country. Enenche said the operations were conducted between March 18th and May 5th, 2020. He praised the efforts of the army for degrading the activities of criminals and averting economic sabotage in the North Nation's exclusive economic zone.
The armed forces of Nigeria from 18th of March to 5th of May 2020 neutralized 343 Boko Haram BHT/ISWAP criminals in the northeast, deleted 153 bandits in the northwest and north central parts of the country, among other successes. Human and technical intelligence confirmed that between January and March 2020, 18 BHT and ISWAP leaders were killed due to our ground and air offenses against their settlements and hideouts. 4,464.8 and 1,781,000 liters of crude oil were recovered. Also, we are 1,766,900 liters of AGO and 116,000 liters of DPK, that is kerosene, and 11,750 liters of PMS petrol were also recovered.
We'll go on a break now. I will be right back. Do stay with us. You're welcome back. Let's now join Fidelia Aguncha for the latest business stories. Hello, Fidelia.
Hi, Annetta. Well, thank you, Annetta. Plans are ongoing by the federal government to review the 2020 budget to reflect an oil benchmark of $20 per barrel. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed revealed this during a web conference about the impact of low oil prices on Nigeria's economy. The federal government last month dropped the benchmark from an initial $57 per barrel to $30 per barrel after oil prices crashed below $25 a barrel. Speaking to Reuters on Wednesday, Ahmed also disclosed that the federal government plans to cut oil production to 1.7 million barrels per day from the 2.1 million barrels per day previously proposed in the budget. We'll now look at activities on the stock market after this break. Since the start of trading this week, the NSE has been posting gains, so much that the all-share index has risen by more than 1,120 basis points. Now, this uptrend can be attributed to encouraging financial statements by high and medium-cap equities for the first quarter of 2020. Today, the market saw a growth of 1.40%, which translates to 180 billion naira boost in its value, which stood in the value of the market capitalization, which stood at 12.408 trillion naira at the start of trading today, but you can see how much it has risen right here. Activity levels also pitched with over 450 million shares valued at 4.4 billion naira transacted in 7,384 deals. Yesterday, just a little over 340 million shares were transacted in less than 5,000 deals. Well, let's now look at the equities inspiring today's performance. Nigeria borrowers sit on the top of the gainers table with a 10% boost in its share price as reports of a 5.5 billion naira profit after tax in the first quarter of this year encouraged investors to buy almost 400 million of its shares today. It was also a good day for CAP PLC, Guarantee Trust Bank and Guinness, all posting gains. But on the flip side, we have CNI Leasing, UACN PLC, International Brewers and Union ADC posting losses. Outside Nigeria to the global, we've seen the FTSE is rising on news that they are about to reopen their economy and looking for better ways to ease transfer of the coronavirus in that area, while Dow and Nikkei are dropping. The Dow is falling slightly by 0.1%, while the Nikkei is dropping largely by 2.84%. That's it from the world of business. It's back to Annette Phillips.
Thank you, Fidelia. Moving on now, the Iraqi military says 3 Katyusha rockets have struck a military complex near Baghdad's international airport. The army said it found the rocket launcher with a timer in a rural area in western Baghdad and that there were no reports of damage or casualties. Security sources said the rocket had been fired from the Bakriya neighborhood about 6 kilometers northeast of the Baghdad capital. They also noted that it was not immediately clear whether a military base which hosts American troops near the airport was the target of the attack. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack. And that's it on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Thank you for watching.